Hey guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a Dollar Tree craft, and this one is inspired by the Evil Queen and honestly like a little bit Descendants. So in addition to showing you guys how I made this Evil Queen apple picking, I don't want to call it a sign because it has 3D aspects on it, but kind of display, I'm going to be showing you guys how I style it amongst all of my other Evil Queen decor. I have done a couple other crafts for her, as well as I have a couple of her Funko Pops, and I love setting all of that out for Halloween. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I style it to make it cute. If you guys like Dollar Tree DIYs that are Disney related, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and without any more chit chat, let's get into the tutorial. The first thing you're going to need is these color your own ornaments from Dollar Tree. They do come in an 8-pack for $1.25, and they are just apples. Now really quickly, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I did not do this, and you guys should do this before you paint the apples red. If the hole in the apple is going to bother you, then just take some spackle or some, like the stuff you use to fill in holes in your wall, and you can just use your finger to smush that into the hole, and then once it's dry, just take a sanding block and smooth it out, and it will fill up that hole before you paint it, so it will look much better. They're in the fall section, and that is exclusively where I have found them. But I'm going to be painting all of these red and all of the stems brown, and then all of the leaves on them green. And I am just using Walmart acrylic paint. I did end up doing 2 coats on the red because it was a little bit too sheer on just 1 coat. I'm not sure why I decided to do the puffy paint before painting the stem and the leaf, but I did. So I'm going to show you guys how I do the poison drips. So I like to use puffy paint instead of regular paint because it does give it a little bit of a 3D texture, like it's actually dripping down the apple, as opposed to just using flat paint. I honestly, you guys, just freehand this. Like, we're only doing 1 actual poison apple. The rest of the apples are going to be just normal red apples. So they don't need to match. They don't need to look identical. But I just pull up a reference photo and then do my best to recreate it with the puffy paint. And this is what it looked like after 1 coat. I did allow that to dry for 24 hours, and then I went back in and did another coat to add more puffiness to it. I wanted to show you guys this because I saw it on TikTok. Apparently people think that if you hit puffy paint with a hairdryer, it helps the paint expand. This was not my experience. It ended up just as flat as if you don't use your hairdryer. So this was a waste of time in my opinion. After the puffy paint totally dried, then I went in and painted the stem as well as the leaf. I just did a chocolate brown color for the stem and then a, normal green color for the leaf. This is what the puffy paint looked like after just 1 coat. I definitely think you could stop there, but I am going to add a 2nd coat in just a moment. Also, don't forget about all of the other apples that you painted red. I'm going to be doing those stems and leaves as well. For the actual sign, I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree Easter sign. I am only going to be using the back of it. I didn't bother to clean off the front. No one's going to see it, so I left it. And then I'm also going to be using this Dollar Tree crate that I did already stain. If you guys want to stain yours, just grab the stain that you like, or you can also use coffee to stain wood, or mix paint and water, and that works too. But for the actual sign, I'm going to be using my ink black chalk paint and a sponge brush and just painting this all over until it's completely covered. While that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and take the puffy paint and do that 2nd coat on the poison apple, and then I'll set that off to the side to dry. Here is a close-up of the 2nd layer of drips to give it more of a 3D effect. And then here you can see me painting over the spackle again with red because, again, I didn't do the spackle first, but if you followed my better advice, you already did this part. Now that the black chalk paint is dry on the sign, I'm going to be using a mixture of chalk paints. I have moss green, an elephant gray, and a white chalk paint, and I'm going to be using these to distress the board. How I do that is just by dry brushing. I did try this fan brush, but honestly, it wasn't my favorite. I like stiff, sparse brushes that kind of look like squished spiders. Those are the best for dry brushing, in my opinion, or really cheap chip brushes. They sell those at like Home Depot, Walmart, and they're for actually painting, but they work really, really well for dry brushing. For those of you that have never dry brushed, it's pretty simple. You basically dip your brush in the paint and then you wipe off the majority of the paint to where the brush is almost dry, and then you are just gently swiping it across whatever you're painting to give it a look of being distressed. So I am doing that with all three of these colors all the way across the board. Here is a close-up of what it looked like when I was all done. And that dries pretty much instantly. Now I did want to show you guys these stickers because if I didn't have a Silhouette machine to cut out vinyl, this is how I would do this next portion of the project, because these stickers are my favorite and I love the font, and these are from Dollar Tree. But if you do have a die cut machine, I designed my own logo, if you will, on Canva, and I made sure to put little cuts in it, because you know how when you make a stencil in Cricut or Silhouette, you have to add little lines to make sure that when you pull off the stencil, it's not going to take your design with you. So that is what I did. So I'm weeding all of this, and then I'm going to use some transfer tape to pick it up and put it down on my sign, and then we will be painting over this, because instead of pulling up the rectangle or the square and using it as a stencil, I accidentally crumbled it up just out of reflex. So instead I will be reverse stenciling my painting. Making sure to get the placement right using this crate. So I know we haven't attached the crate just yet, but it's because I really did want to paint it first. I'm laying down my stencil but leaving my crate at the bottom of the sign so that I can make sure I have enough space to fit all of it. I squeegeed this down onto the sign. This was a little bit tricky because I don't like this little squeegee. It doesn't work very well. And then I peeled off the transfer tape, and next we're going to get to painting. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I kind of wish that I would have left it looking like this and not painted it at all, but this, I don't know. I guess in my head I kept thinking if people don't have a Silhouette, then they can still make a stencil and paint it, but I do really like how this came out, and I kind of wish that I had left it like this and not painted it. However, I am going to show you the painting anyway. I'm going to be using a combination of lime green and a dark purple acrylic paint for this portion, and a sponge brush. So honestly, I just wung it, guys. I loaded up my brush in green and purple and then just started sponging, but the colors of course mixed like really quickly and made a gross color. So I definitely would suggest starting with one color and then going to the other. I would suggest starting with green because green is going to be the lighter color and purple is going to do a much better job of covering up. So I would start with the lime green if you're doing this sponging technique and then go to the purple. I was trying to create kind of like an ombre of purple and green smoke with the lettering inside of it. If you're impatient like me or you have really big globs of paint, you can always run a hairdryer over it just to speed up the process. And then I began the tedious process of weeding, which I'm not going to make you sit here and watch, but using tweezers, I just pulled up all of the letters and cutouts that I had from the stencil. This is what it looked like once I had taken everything up. I did have a couple spots that the paint had kind of seeped through too much, so I am taking a fine brush and that black paint, and I'm just going to fill in to make sure that it's able to be read, as well as taking a sparse brush that's really good for adding these little splatters and just dipping it into the lime green and adding some lime green back in so that it's not overly purple. After adding more green, I decided to get some gold acrylic paint and add that as well. So using the exact same brush, I'm just adding gold splashes, if you will. I'm just kind of tapping it down where I see fit, where I like it. And this is, to me, where it really started to look like it was something from Descendants, because this color scheme is very Descendants, if you guys have seen that movie from Disney Channel. Giving you guys a close-up, this is what the painting looks like at this point. So next I'm going in with that thin brush, like I said earlier, and just filling in any lettering or harder to read places because the purple or green paint seeped in a little bit too much. And we are almost done with this craft. So now taking the Dollar Tree crate, I'm going to hot glue this onto the bottom of my sign, making sure that it's level so that this crate will stand up on its own. with the sign attached to it. So the thing that I really liked about this is it could be a wall decor, but it can also sit out on a counter or a shelf or a table. And then I am taking those plain red apples and I am going to start adding those. Now, to give them some depth between each other, I'm using these little wooden cubes that I picked up at Dollar Tree in the craft section. Jenga blocks would also work because Dollar Tree sells those tumbling towers, and you could use those to separate your apples and give them a little bit of spacing in between so that they don't look flat against each other. I made sure to have my apples lean different directions and be different heights within this little crate because I liked the dimension that it offered. The only thing with these apples that I wish I would have done differently is paint them different directions. So I painted all of mine with the leaf going to the left when you're looking at it, and I wish that I had done half and half so that I could vary the way that they sat inside the crate. Now, I definitely could have just painted the back of them when I discovered that, but honestly guys, I needed to get this tutorial out, so it is what it is. I still think it turned out really good. Here you guys can see those little wooden cubes I was talking about a little bit better. If you're looking for them, they come in a pack of like 50 at Dollar Tree in the craft section, but I am stacking them on top of each other to make a miniature tower because I'm going to hot glue the poison apple on top of this. I really liked the idea of the poison apple being within a bushel of apples, if you will, but standing up to be the center of attention. So I'm just using those blocks to steady it and keep it where I want it, and just adding hot glue to reinforce it anywhere that's necessary. And then I'll continue to fill in this little crate with more apples. The final and completely unnecessary part of this project is I have this jewel trim from Dollar Tree, and the little red circles, it's a silver bead or circle with like a red jewel in the middle, and it reminds me so much of the brooch that the Evil Queen wears that I thought it would be really cute to add these as accents. So I'm using the top one to cover up that hole at the top of the sign, and then I'm going to use 2 more on the outer curves of the sign. I was going to use 5, but I honestly liked the way that 3 looked. Although now that I'm looking at it, I like 5. So dealer's choice. But I'm just going to hot glue these down. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what this looks like displayed in my home. I have these 2 tall bookshelves in my living room, and so I put this thing that we just made in the corner. I have a Dollar Tree mirror that reminds me of the magic mirror, of course. These spooky trees are from Five Below. And then I created this "One bite and all your dreams will come true" sign a couple years ago from a Dollar Tree sign, as well as this poison apple made from a Dollar Tree apple. And I have my 2 Evil Queen Funko Pops. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know down below, is there any specific Disney character or Disney movie that you guys would like to see me create crafts for? I love doing ears. I definitely have a list of ears that I want to make. You guys, my hands, they get tired making ear after ear after ear. And sometimes I just like to change it up with what I'm doing in my craft room. So if you guys have requests of home decor type things or crafts in general relating to specific movies or characters, I would love to hear that down below. Please leave it for me in the comments. And if you have no idea what to comment, but you made it to the end of this video, then please leave me an apple emoji. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.